Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Work is love manifested. However, it still applies to us in the 21st century. The average American spends 13 years in school. At work, he or she will spend the most of his or her life. What we've discovered in the field of brain science is that there are three basic human motivations that we're all looking for: a feeling of purpose, if you will, call it value, meaning, or a sense of contentment. The need to find value is one of the three primordial needs. The desire to belong, as well as the desire to participate in activities. All three of these basic requirements, engagements, value, and belonging, can be developed at work. It makes no difference if you are self-employed or not. Whether you're a startup founder or a seasoned entrepreneur, or a multinational corporation's executive, we are all influenced by brain research and human behavior. It truly says in the Declaration of Independence, the pursuit of happiness, as well as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What's remarkable about that phrase is that it says, happiness is the goal. Thomas Jefferson's initial draft of the Declaration of Independence, the United States Declaration of Independence, the word pursuit meant nothing. It was only in the final edition that it appeared. That he came up with the phrase pursuit of happiness, so that's what I'm going to tell you. Happiness is not a promise, it is a way of life. The pursuit of happiness must be practiced. So, according to current brain science research, this is the case. We can make use of cutting-edge brain science studies to assist you in making a happy investment. Why should you put money into happiness? The majority of Americans say they are disengaged at work. How many are there? Approximately 53% of Americans say at work, you're dissatisfied in some way. So, why is this a problem? Employees and workers that are disengaged cost American businesses money. Over $500 billion, with a T for trillion, $500 billion in revenue has been lost. When employees say they are more engaged, it's a good sign. Or a sense of worth or purpose, they have a 65% higher chance of becoming motivated to arrive on time and take fewer sick days. You'll have a higher staff retention rate as a result of this. As a result, your bottom line improves. As a result of our research, we've discovered that when employees feel valued, they are more productive. Belonging and participation, they aren't succumbing to the moniker any longer. Sad is what I call it. They're no longer in a good mood. The anxiety, stress, and disengagement. So, if you want to invest in happiness, here's what you need to know. It not only improves your bottom line, but it also improves your quality of life. It alleviates the symptoms of sad. Imagine you're in a situation where you have to get up every morning. Going to work makes me feel energized and happy. Assume you go to work and are treated with respect. A sense of purpose, a sense of belonging and significance from your coworkers and supervisor. Consider a situation where you truly want to do something. Must work extra hours and give your entire heart and soul to your company. To improve the bottom line. Actually, there's a word for it. Unfortunately, it does not originate in English. Arbeidsglød is a Danish word that means workplace glory. Work-related happiness. As a result, learning to be happy at work is important. It is critical to invest on happiness. Not only for your own personal well-being, but also for the sake of your company's well-being. As a brain science and behavioral health researcher, I look into what it takes to have a happy brain. Science of a Happy Brain is a book about how to make your brain happy. The book I've lately completed, I look into who is behind the sabotage. Something prevents us from enjoying joy, but, more importantly, what are the strategies that enable us to cultivate a more profound feeling of happiness? Not only at work, but in life as well. As well as our general sense of self. In the chapters that follow, wish to assist you in comprehending what evolution has made possible that damage our well-being. Where do you think you'll find happiness? is, in fact, a pursuit. Evolution wants us to be in our natural state. Is a state of stress and survival. We'll also come upon a rather interesting feature of brain science studies. That is what we refer to as the social brain. Everyone's brain, including yours, mine, and everyone else's, basically evolved as a social organ for a sense of belonging, for a sense of community, for a sense of and for a greater sense of belonging to a force greater than oneself. This will be framed within what we refer to as the 4 foundations of happiness investment that you'll discover and put into practice. These 4 pillars are comforts, conveniences, 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 convenience, contribution, connection, and compassion are 3 words that come to mind. In the following chapters, the strategies will be presented to you, as well as the tools to assist you in investing in your pleasure. To assist you in achieving this goal, I welcome you to download the exercise below to help you better define what happiness means to you. As I like to say, if you're looking for a unique way to express happiness is a journey, not a destination. So I'm hoping you'll stick with us. I've embarked on this adventure to assist you in locating your happiness. I'm going to tell you a little secret. Your brain evolved to help you survive, not to make you happy. What is the reason for this? Consider traveling 10,000 years back in time. To our prehistoric Stone Age forefathers, those who live in caves are known as cave people. It was a tough life. We had no choice but to fend for ourselves. Every day was a battle to stay alive. As a result, there were only 2 possibilities. For our prehistoric Stone Age forefathers, option 1, in other words, believing there was a lion in the bush and there wasn't one. Option 2, assuming that there was no lion in the bush, and there was one of them. Which one did you think signified death? This is the second one. However, the first option was used to stay alive. Nature, on the other hand, is taking a risk. Believes that by allowing you to be yourself at all times in this threat matrix phase, which is possibly driven, you will be able to survive as a result of this. This is why the majority of us are suffering today. An increase in melancholy, rage, and anxiety. There's a condition known as despair illness. And it shows up at work. The majority of us are aware of a significant portion of our stress. Not only from our children, but also from life. But also from the act of working. As a result, work is a crucial area to learn ways to deal with and manage stress. As a researcher, I'm always looking for new ways to improve my work. As well as being the director of Contemplative Practices Chapman University's Center for Health and Well-Being, I start teaching pupils how to use the harness improved happiness and well-being through brain science. That's what I'd like to share with you. It is possible to be happy. We've discovered a fantastic feature. Neuroplasticity is a term used to describe the ability of the brain to change. The phenomenon of neuroplasticity is a fascinating element of brain science. This shows that your brain can rewire itself. Your brain is like this malleable plastic. It has the ability to alter. That signifies you haven't been kidnapped by your actions and beliefs. So, if you're always led by negative thoughts, or someone who is prone to overanalyzing situations, there is excellent news if things are going well in your life. This is something you can fix. It requires time and effort. Happiness, as I like to say, is a practice. These strategies must be pursued. There's also another factor to consider that we need to make you aware of as well. This is referred to as your brain's negative bias. The best way to comprehend this is to consider the following, by comparing your brain to Velcro. For bad encounters, for positive thoughts, your brain is like Teflon. What exactly does that imply? It indicates that your brain has become more wired to make the terrible experiences more vivid in one's mind than the ones that are positive. So, last week's boss who yelled at you, or a coworker who doesn't respond to your communications, or the fact that you're under a lot of pressure, all of these things, including your eyes, might induce stress. However, on average, 5 uplifting or optimistic ideas are required. 1 positive factor must outweigh 1 negative factor. As a result of the negative bias, despite the fact that this is hardwired into your brain, you can rewire your minds thanks to neuroplasticity. Change the way you think and the way you act. As a result, nature's bet on happiness was to ensure that you concentrate on the negative and ignore the positive. So here's what I'd want to share with you. The strategies are discussed in the following chapters. To assist in overcoming what nature has implanted in your mind, the proclivity for negativity and the negativity bias in the direction of stress and survival. This is why I want you to be informed of the situation. That it is not only feasible, but also beneficial to invest in happiness. It's vital, and it's also doable. So, how does all of this brain research help? How does this apply to you in your daily life and at work? So, here's something I'd like you to think about. Your brain evolved to help you survive. It is primarily concerned with safety, security, and stability. So, if you get any unexpected news, don't panic. Whether in work or in everyday life, our brain's natural instinct is to think in pictures. To enter a state of panic, or a state of threat, there's a portion of your brain called the prefrontal cortex that the fight or flight response, as it's known informally. However, it is more particular. There are some parts of the brain that will light up when your safety has been jeopardized, stability and security. So, how do the majority of us react? With a high level of tension, rage, or disengagement. However, as you'll see in the coming chapters, this isn't the case. You can conquer your sadness in a variety of ways. And you can now master them in a variety of ways. What has evolution implanted in your mind to concentrate on the negative and overlook the positive? So let's concentrate on the positive. And learn how to assist you in making happiness investments. In the exercise in this chapter, I'd like for you to be aware of this. What does it take for you to get triggered when unexpected news arrives? As a result, this is a natural aspect of life. We all desire that sense of fulfillment throughout our lives. People think of safety, security, and stability, but guess what? Something can happen at any time during our day. This will cause the primal brain's urge to be disrupted. For the sake of safety, security, and consistency, the problem is that your brain has developed to make it nearly impossible to tell apart between what is a genuine danger to your life, and say, being chased by a lion, or, in my case, being chased by a lion. I came dangerously close to stepping on a rattlesnake during a trek a few weeks ago, or a perceived danger to your life, if you're on the verge of missing your flight, getting an unexpected email, for example, that you hadn't anticipated. In this activity, I want you to learn a few things. I've been teaching pupils some of the tools that I've been teaching them in my well-liked university pleasure class. When you're greeted with unexpected news, it's important to stay calm. Here's an exercise you can undertake at work or in your personal life. Take a 10-second break, just to see if you can catch your breath and start to figure out what's the problem. I'm stressed because of what's causing it. Is there anything I can do about it? In 95% of cases, the answer will be affirmative. The answer, on sometimes, is it might not be the first thing that comes to mind, but however, it will eventually appear. So here's what I want you to take away from this exercise, is mastering the art of self-control when life throws you off balance. I welcome you to download the exercise in PDF format. To assist you with this task in this chapter, I'd like to explain things to you. A fundamental principle also from brain science research, and here's what I came up with. Pleasure is not the same as happiness. Similarly to what you discovered, that your brain has evolved to be preoccupied with negative thoughts and concentrating on the tension. There's also another mechanism worth mentioning. That evolution broadens your mental horizons. The pursuit of pleasure is one among them. What makes you think that? In the field of brain science, we've discovered a few things. Those actions that are beneficial to survival, whether it's reproduction, digesting, or both, or whether it's a matter of sleep, all of these actions are in fact pleasurable. Why? They have no choice. We continue to do them because they are enjoyable. We'll keep reproducing, sleeping, and eating as long as we're alive. You wouldn't be alive if we didn't help you. If you don't exist, the species will perish. As a result, pleasure is profoundly embedded in this way. Stress is absorbed into your brain in the same way. In my research, I've discovered a problem. In my happiness course, I also revealed to my pupils that pleasure has a finite lifespan. Happiness does not have an expiration date. As time has passed, all of the ancient wisdom traditions have progressed. Pleasure is not a means of experiencing anything. A life of contentment. It isn't about seeking pleasure. It's all about finding a reason to live. At work, this is what makes you happy. This is a beautiful phrase that I've always heard. If all you get from your job is a paycheck, it's time to look for a new job. You're being paid far too little. What is the reason for this? Money isn't the only source of happiness. We discover that happiness is generated from a variety of sources. In the search for meaning, so, what exactly does that reveal? It gives some information about the human mind, as well as your brain. You may rekindle that feeling of happiness, contentment, and fulfillment. And job satisfaction, allowing employment to serve as a vehicle for finding purpose. Let me share a fascinating statistic with you. Boston Consulting Group did this a few years ago. Millionaires were questioned in various income and net worth brackets, so 1 to 5 million net worth, 5 to 10, 10 to 25, 1 to 5 million net worth, 1 to 5 million net worth, 1 to 5 million net worth. They were both asking the same question. Do you think your current net worth gives you a sense of security? Of happiness in life? More than half of those polled said no. Their current net worth did not provide them with anything. That feeling of contentment and well-being. The following question was posed as a corollary. How much do you think you'll need in terms of net worth to feel that sensation of happiness and fulfillment? Surprisingly, the answer was always the same. More than twice as much. What exactly does that imply? We never seem to be content with what we have. Of all, we all require the most fundamental forms. A source of revenue for survival, however, in the economics study that I conduct, and happiness and the brain, given how the brain and money work in tandem, after a particular amount of net worth has been reached, it's not going to happen if you quadruple your current income. To make you twice as happy, I'm not suggesting you shouldn't try to make more money. Having a higher net worth, but don't fall for it. What your mind has programmed you to believe. Believe having more money makes you happier. In reality, what we're discovering in our research is that more money does not bring more happiness. It stems from a desire to make your life more meaningful. This is an essential concept that I'd like to communicate. In a later chapter, I'll discuss this with you. But for the time being, recognize that pleasure is not the same as joy. You can be happy at work if you try hard enough. Through gaining a greater sense of purpose in your work, I'd like to share a brain science joke with you. How can you make someone who is happy sad? And how do you make someone who is sad happy? What is the solution? What you're going through will pass shortly, tell them. That joke indicates that everything in life is a blip on the radar. Traditions of old wisdom, in addition to being supported by brain science research, is starting to disclose a critical component. A reflection of the human predicament, as well as anything. It may damage your requirement and your willingness to put money into happiness. And this is the one component that isn't working. To recognize that change is unavoidable. In both life and the universe, change is unavoidable. To be more specific, our suffering, or your suffering, when you neglect anything, it can set off a chain reaction. Since unpleasant events are just transitory as well as enjoyable ones. Your brain was designed by nature to associate pleasure with it. And to stay away from pain. The problem is that people don't realize that it's unavoidable. Both a source of joy and a source of misery. Once you've accepted that change is unavoidable, it will assist you in being more prepared. When life throws you an unexpected curveball that can obstruct in certain ways, alternatively, you can ruin your enjoyment. As well as the primordial desire to be safe, stability and security, I'd like you to consider the following happiness equation to assist you in making an investment in your happiness, and here it is. Happiness is the acceptance of change as a fact of life. Suffering is the avoidance of changed reality. So, to put it another way, acceptance of change equals happiness. Suffering is synonymous with reluctance to change. The task that follows will assist you in putting your knowledge into practice. Incorporating this essential equation into your work, your life, and your capacity to function on a daily basis to be able to live a happy life. Here's a quote from my book that I reveal, The Science of a Contented Mind. To exist, you must socialize. To thrive, you must form a tribe. What is the reason for this? We're on the verge of uncovering something truly spectacular concerning the human brain, specifically your brain. The brain is primarily a social organ that arose out of a need for community, belonging, and tribe. Consider the following scenario. It's just the two of you. It's freezing outside, and you're hungry. You haven't had anything to eat in a long time. Maybe it's been a couple of days since you've slept. And, to make things extra scarier, there is the sound of ravenous predators nearby. It's becoming dark now. Isn't it terrifying? Consider what your odds of survival would be if you were in this situation. Or extending it for one more day. Would you have a better chance of surviving if you had a second capable person with you that you could rely on? Yes, it is correct. Now imagine you had 5 more people you could rely on. Together with you, a 10, a 50, and a 100. You have the beginnings of a tribe. This is extremely crucial to comprehend. We're learning that it's something special. Regarding the brain's evolution as a social organ, humans are not the most powerful animals. We're not the fastest or the tallest of creatures. Underwater, we are unable to breathe. We are unable to fly in our natural state. So, what was it that enabled humanity to exist? To become the world's most populous species. This is the one winning method that humans have mastered. In comparison to all other creatures was the capacity to create tribes, 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 tribe. To exist, you must socialize. To thrive, you must form a tribe. UCLA conducted a research study in the early 2000s that wants to know what goes on in your head when you are subjected to social rejection. When you lose a loved one, for example, it's natural to feel bereft. Or someone you genuinely cared about or trusted breaches your trust. Consider the possibility of being rejected by someone that you genuinely care for, or someone with whom you are in a relationship. And this is what we're referring to. There is a concept known as social suffering. The goal of the research was to find out what part of your brain is active when you're in a social bind. What astonished the researchers believe that the same part of your brain is involved that deals with bodily discomfort, as though you've broken a bone or hit your head against the wall. The same part of your brain is overlapping, that deals with social misery. What does all of this imply? What makes this so important? In your brain, all pain is the same. As a result, this is a critical knowledge as far as your brain's evolution as a social organ is concerned. Today, we're discovering that it's the lack of a connection in real time. As a result, more of us are being affected by the grief. We discuss the anger, disengagement, and sadness. What's more, what's on the rise? This despondency, sickness. The notion that there is more rage, worry, and depression, as well as addiction in the world. Dr. Vivek Murthy, a former Surgeon General of the United States, was once confronted with the question, What is the most serious and imminent health threat in today's America? And what he said next was really important. Loneliness is our generation's greatest health crisis. We are more alone and isolated than ever before. What is the significance of this for you in terms of investing in your contentment? Whether it's at work, at home, or in your personal life, establishing real-time links is an important factor to consider when it comes to investing in your happiness. That you will learn about in the following chapter. Why is it so important to connect in real time? And why is it so significant in today's world? In an overconnected world, the majority of us are disconnected. We are enslaved by our gadgets. We're glued to our phones and tablets. Our computers are on almost all of the time. It doesn't matter if you're at work or at home. And what the research reveals is truly astonishing. This technological dependency is a saboteur of your happiness as well. What is the reason for this? It's difficult to connect in person in real time. This is what your brain was made for. It's important to remember that your brain is a social organ. Humans are social creatures. We're on a mission to find that deep sense. A sense of community and belonging, and if it isn't there, when your brain is out of whack, it's called dysregulation, which can make you feel more stressed, boost your inflammatory reaction even more, can make you feel more anxious. Many individuals can have similar life experiences. What is also critical and significant is that we live in a world where the majority of people work from home. Alternatively, people may work in cubicles. However, it is crucial whether your work environment is preventing you from achieving your goals. From a sense of belonging, alternatively, if you operate independently or from home, it is still vital to establish genuine face-to-face connections. What a genuine face-to-face connection does the social psyche. The best source of nutrition for your social brain is that sense of belonging and connection that has resulted in a highly powerful product. That is a result of social interaction, and the concept of collaboration is crucial to the concept of trust. When you work with others on a team, or whenever you feel comfortable sharing your opinions, if you want to share your counsel or simply your observations with others, it enables a higher level of trust to be carried out inside the team. Greater happiness comes from a higher level of trust. Higher success for both you and your company. In this lesson, I'd want to expose something to you. I've coined the phrase happy equation to describe it. And here's what I came up with. Tribal attachment equals life and a happy brain. Abandonment from one's tribe equates to death and a despondent mind. Why would I say something like that? As you may recall, I asked you to envision going back in time with me. You're alone, chilly, scared, lonely, and desperate. Simply looking for a sense of survival, such as food, sleep, and shelter. I also asked you, would you have a better chance of surviving if you had one or even 5 more capable individuals with whom you had entrusted your trust? Yes, that was the answer. This is what is ingrained in your mind. Any flexible strategy, it doesn't matter if you have opposable thumbs for grasping tools or not. To see farther in the distance, walk upright, or the vocal cords. All of these coping mechanisms, humans were able to improve their chances of survival. Any survival strategy that allows for adaptation, the genetic material of the species, is passed on to subsequent generations. For your social brain, the situation is the same. Thousands of years have passed since your brain evolved to understand the significance of creating tribes. For the sake of your safety, security, and stability. This is the same as happiness. The issue arises once more when we feel that feeling of loneliness, that feeling of alienation, that feeling of isolation. So, in the following exercise, I'd like to share with you what I'd like to share with you are some of the methods in which we might re-establish contact and re-engage with what nature has provided us with, the requirement for socialization, the want to be connected, the desire to be trusted, and the desire to be a part of something. All of this adds up to an opportunity to invest in your happiness and enables you to make more informed decisions. and a more successful business as a result. Throughout the previous several chapters, some of the fundamental principles have been taught to you. Regarding the evolution of the human brain to put a stop to your enjoyment, you've also unearthed a very stunning new work. A body of information in support of brain science that reveals why is your brain, at its core, a social organ. For a sense of belonging, for a sense of belonging, for a sense of community, that sense of belonging to a group. The results of the State of the American Workplace poll were shocking. A sobering statistic. The first fact is that just about 1/3 of the population is female. Employees in the United States say they are engaged at work. This means that more than 2/3 of the population in the United States, around a quarter of the workforce is employed, are disengaged from their work, which translates into more than $500 billion a loss of revenue. If it isn't a wake-up call, I don't know what is. What is it in the corporate world? So, let's have a look at some options for assistance. Not as a single person. If you want to feel more engaged and have a sense of purpose and fulfillment at work, let's speak about how to put these 4 foundations into practice. Of solace, assistance, connection, and compassion to assist you in making an investment in your happiness, but also to assist you in achieving your financial goals. As a result, in this chapter, I'd like to begin by introducing you to the first pillar. For putting your pleasure first, and that, my friends, is the comfort pillar. So, what exactly is comfort? If I had to speak quickly, the term comfort would come to mind. Fort is derived from the word fort. As in fortitude, 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 for. Any action can be considered comfortable, or a way of thinking or acting. This provides you a sensation of power and makes you feel powerful in your daily existence. What does this appear to be? Well, creating comfort is one thing. On a personal level, it may signify anything as basic as such as getting enough sleep, eating a healthy diet, exercising, and so on, everything that the majority of us are aware of. But don't forget that there are alternative options. You can take as much comfort as you want in your life. That can assist you in gaining a sensation of power. In addition to fostering a sense of well-being in your own life, it's also critical that we learn to comprehend the various methods to promote a working culture of ease. So, how does that look? Having a sense of security, stability, and safety. It is critical in the workplace. A culture of relaxation in the workplace. This means that everyone shows up. Anyone who enters the workplace, whether an employee or a visitor, they have the impression that they are safe and secure. There is a sense of security in the atmosphere. A culture of relaxation. In the workplace, this could also imply granting authorization to staff to take their own vacations and recalibrate their brains to find that level of ease in their everyday lives, routines that must be followed on a daily basis. One of the things I do is meditation. Is something I've found to be quite beneficial. I'm not suggesting that everyone should meditate. Even if it's just a few calm, deep breaths every now and then, or walking outside, you don't have your phone with you, might be quite effective methods to assist you in achieving a higher level of comfort and self-confidence in your own life. In addition, according to brain science study, that throughout an 8-hour workday, the average worker only has the ability to do a few things. About 3 hours of those 8 hours a day should be spent totally focused. Those extra hours tend to add up. To be recalibrating and attempting to get back on track into that rhythm, and perhaps even into the zone, if you'll excuse me. But what if we can make a difference? What if you were given the opportunity to live your workday as a result of the increased sense of fluidity, that impression of increased productivity, that increased sense of inventiveness? This is something that comfort can do as well. Ensure that you were comfortable throughout your life. It doesn't matter if you're at work or at home, how that manifests itself in your daily life. One of the foundations I want to cultivate is comfort. To assist you in this chapter's introduction, to assist you in making an investment in your happiness, a few years ago, some of my Google friends conducted research to determine the single most important aspect this makes it possible for the team to succeed. Years of research have resulted in they reasoned, is it true that the ratio of maybe workers, for example, male or female? They spent so much time looking at it. What are the various considerations? What is the single most important factor that contributes to team success? And now, after years of research, they discovered that there is just one factor that determines team success. Is psychological well-being. What exactly does psychological safety imply? It all comes back to what we said before. Concerning the primal brain's need for security, stability and security, the thorough understanding of psychological safety is psychological safety. That you, as an individual, are secure in a group setting. It's not simply about your physical or biological safety. We're also talking about your emotional intelligence. Safe to communicate your views and ideas on a project. Or being aware of you will feel free to voice your thoughts. Without fear of being mocked. This is why psychological safety is so important. It's thought to be the most crucial determining factor. What psychological safety produces as well is yet another important component in achieving success at work. And that, once again, is a matter of trust. When you, as a person, feel psychologically secure, you stand a better chance of having the impression that your ideas will be approved without any sort of judgment. You have a better chance as an individual as well. Must believe that you can put your trust in the other members of your team. That sense of community builds on top of something even bigger. This entails invention, creativity, and as well as a feeling of belonging that can help you increase your profits. It can assist you in making an investment in your pleasure both at work and in life. Eric Schmidt's quote is one of my favorites. Google's executive chairman stated, "In today's connected society, the most valuable currency is trust." That proverb is one of my favorites since it emphasizes the importance of what you've learned about trust thus far in the context of psychological safety. Another statistic that fascinates me is this one, in relation to the business world, is that nearly half of CEOs say that a lack of trust is to blame. Hinders or hurts their business in some way as a result. It's critical to comprehend this. How do we improve this culture of comfort? Whether it's on a case-by-case basis, having a corporate culture that promotes comfort, it really starts to push the idea forward. Trust begins to grow as a result of a sense of psychological safety. Having more confidence in the workplace brings about creativity, resiliency, and innovation and, as a result, your bottom line. The primal brain's desire for protection and safety and stability is so important that if you don't have it, you won't be able to function. As a result of that safety, security, and stability, we can all relate to the feeling of being undervalued. I don't have a sense of belonging. If you remember the concept of the social brain, we're social creatures, thus we have a strong sense of emotion. Accepted by our tribe, members of our team, the importance of our co-workers and colleagues cannot be overstated. You may create a culture of comfort by cultivating a culture of relaxation. It makes people feel as if they can trust others, to accept their views and opinions without fear of being condemned, and their ideas without fear of being judged or being hushed or suffocated. When people have the ability to trust one another and to feel at ease in sharing their ideas, something extraordinary happens. People are more likely to have advanced thoughts. That may appear to be hazardous, but it is in taking the risks that the rewards are found. Where your company's most innovative ideas can be found. So, if you connect the dots, psychological safety is created through a culture of comfort. This fosters trust, allowing people to take chances. It's in the willingness to take risks. This is where you'll find innovation and creativity. We chatted about how things were in our lives. Back in the ancient stone era, about 10,000 years ago, people's times, tribe, ancestors, okay. Consider this, if you're a member of a tribe, then there was surety of survival, yet the secret to this tribe's existence was as much as for your own sense of survival was knowing that each and every one of the tribe's members had a definite function, goal, and responsibility to ensure the tribe's survival and prosperity. As a result, consider the hunters who would go out and fetch the food every day, potentially going on a murdering spree among the animals you had, perhaps the little children to herd for food. Going outside and possibly getting firewood, that is, it will be constructed later. Perhaps the individuals who were preparing the food were females. You might even have the elderly taking care of small children and babies. As a result, everyone in the tribe had a very definite purpose and function. This is exactly how things are right now in the business world. Consider your company as a powerful tribe. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you are the boss's assistant, or if you work in a factory as a factory assembly worker, scrutinizing a product, or even the chairman of the board. Everyone at that firm, regardless of their position, for the tribe, he plays a very special and unique role. In order for the company to succeed, there was a time when, back in the day, we discussed the importance of survival as a goal. Today, though, it may be the bottom line. They're both extremely similar. In terms of how our minds work, it makes me think of a lovely quote. According to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, we all have a profound desire to feel wanted. That's all there is to it. The second pillar of happiness investment is to invest in yourself. Is an example of contribution. Believe it or not, I adore the term contribution. The term tribe appears in the word contribution. Contribution entails being aware that you are engaged in a certain activity. Perhaps your sense of purpose stems from your contribution to the tribe. In his or her life, everyone has a goal. And this is something we must also comprehend. In the work environment, a team's success depends on its ability to work together. Or business to achieve its objectives as well as to boost revenue and profit, it is necessary to acknowledge the contribution. Everyone in the company has a role to play. Sebastian Junger's best-selling novel Tribe: The Essential Need to Be Needed is discussed. This is exactly what research in the field of brain science reveals. When you're working in a company and your ideas, you're either being harmed or you're feeling suffocated. Or silenced, or the fact that you might have a brilliant suggestion, however, you are not acknowledged, validated, or accepted. When praised for that brilliant concept, this has an effect on your brain now. As you may recall, we discussed how social isolation, the anguish of social rejection, is felt in the brain. When an employee in an organization no longer feels valued, that he or she is valued, or that he or she has a strong sense of self-worth. If your contribution isn't acknowledged, you're doing something wrong. In the brain, this is true. This is a source of anxiety. It is a source of anxiety. It sends the brain into a panic mode. Any organism, whether it's an amoeba or a bacterium or a complicated human being, will attempt to do anything to reduce the amount of pain. So, if a person is being rejected or feels unappreciated, thinking he or she is not regarded or acknowledged in recognition of his or her contribution to their ideas or labor, what this does now to the brain is that it leads the individual to become irritable. To stop asking yourself, how should I work for this business? The question he or she will now ponder is, why should I work for this company if I am no longer interested in it? I don't feel recognized or like I'm making a difference. Is it being refused? This now has a direct bearing on your company. The more you cultivate this pillar of contribution, the stronger it will become. Another way to invest in your happiness is to use this technique, but also in your company's bottom line. The more staff you have, no matter where they are, the better. Feel that deep, primitive sense in the company. This is contributing to the tribe in the sense of being needed. It benefits your bottom line and your company. Overall, it promotes growth, resilience, creativity, and innovation, as well as the evolution of your goal and vision. As mentioned earlier in this chapter, we discussed the importance of why contribution is critical when it comes to investing in your happiness. More than monetary benefits, something that appeals to the human brain on a far more primitive level are psychological gratification, the benefit of being acknowledged and valued. For the satisfaction of being recognized for one's efforts, that you've made a contribution to the tribe, to the organization. What's more, the psychological reward is even more powerful. Having your boss or your employees as your boss, or your employees as your boss, or your employees as your employees, or your co-workers acknowledge the job you've done, and to truly assist you in comprehending that you are making a contribution, is valuable to the firm as a whole. This creates that feeling of discovering the greater meaning of one's life's work, life's worth and significance. It begins to engender a greater sense of learning to put money into your happiness. As a result, the following exercise will assist you in comprehending how to put these principles into practice. Not only into your personal life, but also into your professional life. The third investment pillar, your happiness, is based on your ability to connect with others. Why is it so crucial to connect in order to live a happy life? We live in a disconnected era. Or, as I like to say, we're cut off. In a world that is overly linked, we all have devices that we use on a regular basis. However, social media, or the feeling of being connected online, it's not the same as having a real-time connection. Let's be honest. Your brain was not designed to use social media. It arose out of a desire to communicate with people in real time. What makes it so crucial? In my investigation, I discovered that a lack of social connection is a significant factor. Is one of the most significant causes of the anxiety, the rage, and the disengagement. Something happens in the brain, as we've previously discussed. Your brain, as a social organ, was discussed in previous chapters. We're social creatures with a strong desire to connect. For a sense of connection and community. This is particularly true in the business world, or in a professional setting. Feeling a sense of belonging among your coworkers, greetings to your employees. It's critical to know that you're a part of a reliable group. Not only for your own pleasure, but also for the company's bottom line as well as the organization itself. The final pillar I'd want to discuss with you is that of compassion. And why is it so important? For putting your pleasure first. To assist you in grasping this concept, I'd like to tell you about a narrative I tell in the book. A true story about 9/11, Science of a Happy Brain. What happened in the aftermath of the disaster 9/11, as many people are aware, occurred in New York City. It was a day of great tragedy, but it was also a day of great hope. Of profound heroism, empathy, and compassion. Operation Boatlift was the name of the operation. During a 9-hour period, a variety of maritime vessels, ranging from garbage trucks to corporate ships, the southern sea wall was visited by tugboats and ferries. Manhattan was taken over by Wall Street and rescued. In the span of 9 days, approximately 500,000 people were impacted. Since all other sources of conveyance are unavailable, were no longer viable options. In the book, I tell the story to assist you in comprehending and recognizing that in a crisis, we act in a responsible manner. In times of crisis, we form a tribe. It's a built-in empathic response in your brain. It's something we're all aware of now. The mirror neuron system is what it's called. I see you in a mirror, for example. There's a part of the brain that, the mirror neuron system, is a type of brain system. This means that if I see you in distress, I will intervene. If I see you fall and damage your knee, I will intervene. And toss in a grocery bag, despite the fact that I watch you in pain and tumbling down, what motivates me to assist you? Is it possible that the same part of my brain fires? As though I had just collapsed and spilled my goods. We human beings have an empathic response. It's also found in other animals. As a result, when we see or hear a baby crying, we are moved. If you encounter someone who is upset, regardless of who the individual is, we're going to do the right thing and rush to that person's aid. What is the significance of this? It's because I'd like to share something with you in the future. In this chapter, you'll learn how to start cultivating compassion. Regarding the importance of empathy, tolerance, and acceptance. Not only to put money into your happiness, but also to putting money into your company. It can be difficult to inspire others at times. Inherent feeling of caring and empathy. Outside of critical situations, how do we do this on a daily basis? Is it true that there are 365 days in a year? Something like this is one approach to go about it. Everything I discuss in the book, and that I practice in my daily life, this is supported by brain science research. Making happiness contagious is what I call it. So, how does that look? We live in New York Place, which is a very bustling city. We also don't always let other individuals in to perhaps cut us off in their car lane. Alternatively, you might help someone by opening the door. What we're learning from brain science studies is that if you allow someone to maybe cut into your lane during peak traffic hours on a congested highway, alternatively, you might open the door for someone you don't know. Or simply say hello to a stranger on the street. Whether you believe it or not, the individual who was the beneficiary of your good deed has a greater than 50% likelihood of performing another act of kindness in the next hour to someone else than there's the individual who is the recipient of that person's act of kindness. It is passed on. Happiness becomes contagious in this way. What's more amazing is that even if you're not the intended recipient, let's pretend you performed a random act of kindness. I see you doing something nice for someone else. Even the fact that I'm watching you do it for the first time will increase my motivation to perform a good deed in the next hour to someone else. Regrettably, the opposite is also true. If I observe you doing something negative, I'll tell you. Or act in an aggressive manner against another person, whether it's at business or in your personal life, or even if I'm the one who is the victim of a negative act, I'm more prone to doing anything damaging or nasty now. Or even say something cruel or damaging to another person. We discussed the social brain in the same way. The social brain has been shaped to perform good when it sees anything that is nice, the social, but it is also influenced by to act badly when it sees something awful. This is why cultivating a positive attitude is so crucial. Being empathetic is a cornerstone of compassion. Being tolerant, being altruistic is what creates a joyful mind. It also allows you to put money into your happiness. As a result, your company's bottom line will improve. To assist you in putting the compassion pillar into practice into your personal and professional life, I welcome you to participate in the following activity. It may assist you in comprehending the significance of compassion in your personal and professional life. So, how does all of this come together? How do all of these pillars, such as comfort and contribution, interact? Compassion and connection, all of these allow you to put money into your happiness. The key, as it turns out, is quite easy. These four pillars, which include comfort, contribution, and involvement, connection and compassion, allow you to connect on a personal level to make you happy, but it also does something else even more imposing. I'd want to remark, people with happy minds are happy people. A happy organization is made up of happy people. Everything begins with you. As a result, when you begin to promote yourself personally, and to put these concepts into effect once more, not only will you be able to experience happiness as a result of this, but you will also be. So, how does all of this come together? How do all of these pillars, such as comfort and contribution, interact? Compassion and connection, all of these allow you to put money into your happiness. The key, as it turns out, is quite easy. These four pillars, which include comfort, contribution, and involvement, connection and compassion, allow you to connect on a personal level to make you happy, but it also does something else even more imposing. I'd want to remark, people with happy minds are happy people. A happy organization is made up of happy people. Everything begins with you. As a result, when you begin to promote yourself personally, and to put these concepts into effect once more, not only will you be able to experience happiness as a result of this, but you will also be. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.